As an NFL fan, it always feels great when your organization hires a coach from a successful organization. Case in point, Terrell Williams, coming from the Detroit Lions, where they had the best season ever. Obviously, still not winning the Super Bowl and losing in the divisional round to the Commanders, but hiring away Terrell Williams, who's the D-line coach as well as the run game coordinator. Now, regardless of what you think, how the Detroit Lions did in the playoffs with a very depleted defense, a lot of injuries, Terrell Williams did a great job helping that team, and especially too in the run game with Jamar Gibbs as well as David Montgomery, even Craig Reynolds. It has been very impressive for the Lions. So as a New England Patriots fan, you feel great getting a coach like that to come and be your defensive coordinator. But the big question is this: the most recently hired coach, not coming from the best franchise, not the most successful, and even before that, not successful. So is that a good thing? Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron. You guys know on the daily, we're pushing out Patriots content for people just like you who can't get enough Patriots football. So do me a favor, as our subscriptions skyrocket, do me a favor, if you have not already, hit the subscribe button. It means the world to me. Hit the like button, and as well, comment below. First question of the day is this. Very simple. Of all the positional coaches, all the coaching positions available, who would you love to see? Even if it's someone who's an analyst, a consultant, someone you know who doesn't have a job maybe, you would love to see help out the New England Patriots in this rebuild. Comment below. So first, what we're going to talk about, Thomas Brown. Mr. Thomas Brown, the old interim head coach of the Chicago Bears after Matt Eberflus was fired. Finally, they probably should have fired him a while ago. He was not a great coach, but that being said, some coaches are just defensive coordinators. Case in point, Josh McDaniels is once again in his third stint as a offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. But we look at Thomas Brown. He's going to be hired in as the running backs coach for, offensive passing game coordinator. That's my fault when I said that. Offensive passing game coordinator. But here's my big question with Thomas Brown. Now, I know in his career, obviously he had a great career when it came to playing for the Georgia Bulldogs. And he is a coach in the NFL. He was the interim head coach, enough so where the Chicago Bears said, hey, we want to put you in this position. He had a bunch of different opportunities to be an offensive coordinator. He was actually interviewed, if you remember, by the New England Patriots. He was interviewed by the Seattle Seahawks. He has had interviews, and that means, hey, he has opportunities. People see things in him, and especially in his resume, what he has done in the league, that it warrants hey, he could do a good job. And there'll be a day that he is truly an offensive coordinator, but at this point, obviously, offensive passing game coordinator for the Patriots. But my big question is this: looking at where he's come from, is this a great hire? What do you think? I see it twofold. The one I see is he has a lot of experience coaching in different positions. So obviously, interim head coach for the Chicago Bears. Before that, what he was a offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers in 2023, and this is the rough one, because I think he will again be an offensive coordinator at some point. But man, what a brutal season for them in 2023. They went 2-15. Remember, it was a bad team. It was a bad team. I think there was points where it was like, this may be the worst NFL team I've ever seen in my life. But it's one of those things where is it, I don't know, you look at the Carolina Panthers, you look at that, and you're like, is that a good experience? I guess he probably knows what he wants to see, what he doesn't want to see, and he's got a lot of experience from that in the sense of, hey, what works, what doesn't work. At the same time, that roster was, you could agree, was very rough, very, very rough. But before that, he did have a role with the Los Angeles Rams where he was an offensive assistant. Guys, this week I've been just struggling pronouncing words. Holy cow. That's why I teach PE, not English. English? Gosh, no. Offensive assistant, though, under Sean McVay. And I think that right there is a huge bonus on your resume. So you kind of look up and down and you look at the different things on Brown's resume. Obviously, his stint with the Bears, rough. Stint with the Panthers, rough. But before that, what he had in LA, great. Awesome experience. under Sean McVay. And I guarantee you he learned a lot, especially being, I guess you could say, a disciple of Sean McVay. So I guess looking over this resume, what are your thoughts on Thomas Brown, Tom Brown, Coach Brown, whatever you want to call him? What are your thoughts? Comment below. Tell me what you think. Good hire. Wait and see. That's kind of where I'm at. Obviously, wait and see. I never want to come out and be like, this is an awful hire. I would tell you that if the New York Jets hired Rex Ryan again, I would have said, that's an awful hire. I would have loved it. Awful hire, though. So that being said, Thomas Brown, what do you think? Comment below. Would love to hear from you. And maybe you might see it in a different light. You might say, hey, yeah, he has seen those dysfunctional teams. I don't want to say dysfunctional teams, maybe poorly coached teams. When you look at teams in Chicago, in Carolina, and he sees what he doesn't want to do. And sure, I can see that. Or you could say the reverse. Was he an issue that the Panthers didn't do as well? Who knows? Comment below. Tell me what you think. Next up, we all know Drake May is doing Pro Bowl activities. He was in the whole passing thing they were doing, the contest between all the quarterbacks. Now, there's been some controversy with Drake May being in there. I believe his stats were 15 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Granted, we have to remember he didn't start the season. It was later on that Jacoby was benched. He came in. But that being said, again, let the haters hate. Who cares? 22-year-old, take your opportunity, man, and run with it. One thing that I thought was really cool and I wanted to point out was Peyton Manning, who is coaching the AFC team, so coaching Drake May, Joe Burrow, others, is he basically said, last night I saw Drake May having a conversation with Baker Mayfield. And I think this is invaluable stuff. And I touched on this a little bit when I talked about him going to the Pro Bowl. But it's making those connections with these other players. Now, you remember Baker Mayfield, obviously drafted to the Browns and then was just a journeyman in the NFL. Going from, he was at the Browns, he was at the Panthers, he was with the Rams, and then he ends up with the Buccaneers. And with the Buccaneers, he is absolutely balling out. So, and he knows a thing or two when it comes to coaching changes, coordinator changes, all these different things. So I think him having a conversation with Drake May, and I'm sure they talked about and touched on that right there, how to make a good transition from that and how to be a leader through that. And I have a ton of respect for Baker Mayfield. I think a lot of people thought he was washed up, he was done, and they were ready to move on from him. Similar to Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young, his stock has risen this year after showing, hey, this team isn't just going to roll over. I think there's a lot of potential in those types of guys. And a lot of people in the NFL are simply competitors. They want to go out there and compete and show others, hey, look at what I can do. I'm not going to give up. Because that's not in my character and that's not how I lead. So I think it's awesome that Peyton Manning this is the thing he points out is, hey, he's a young guy. He's learning from a guy who's been through the ringer but has seen the light. And that's something that Drake May continually, especially through this rebuild, being a leader and hey, sometimes just putting your head down and putting in the work. So comment below if you think anything about that. Would love to hear it. As well, we jump into talking free agency. Now, a lot of people the other day, I said, if we could sign anyone in free agency, who would it be? A lot of people said T. Higgins. Now, I want to tell you this. T. Higgins has obviously been the number 2 wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, led by Joe Burrow at quarterback. And he's talked more than once about how, hey, he has it pretty good there. But we all know money talks. And if money talks a lot, there's an opportunity he can leave. Now, this right here, NBC Sports basically talks about, hey, based on some rough estimates and projections, they would believe that T. Higgins would be something in the range of $30 million per year, which, yes, I would say that he still has some of his best years in front of him. But when it comes down to it, we know he has been injury prone. And so the big question is, are the Patriots going to be willing to pay that kind of money, especially that guaranteed money right here being projected as $70 million? Do they want to do that to someone like T. Higgins? Or again, would they like to find someone else or draft McMillan? That's going to be one of the huge questions in this offseason. What are they going to do with wide receiver number 1? So what's even more interesting, and I think this article points it out well, is the fact that if the Patriots, though I have said more than once, I think Mike Vrabel is the type of leader that people will see him and say, yeah, I want him to be my coach. And I know this league is obviously very, very money driven. But again, if someone has an opportunity, I think it's possible they take it. Now, I know people have talked about the taxes and all that stuff. Sure, I'm sure that plays a factor as well. What's wild is you look at someone like James Harden, when he ended up going to the Brooklyn Nets, I believe just based on taxes, he ended up losing, oh man, it was millions and millions of dollars. It was insane. So again, I'm sure that can be partial factor for that. But also here, what they point out is the fact that New England having a rough year last year, chances are they're going to have to probably pay even more than $30 million per year. I know someone pointed out, I believe yesterday, they said $40 million. But the question is that worth it? Is that worth it for this organization? In my opinion, I'm leaning towards no. Again, I think he's had opportunities when Jamar Chase is out to prove himself as a number one wide receiver. But we also have to understand there's a possibility that getting someone like McMillan, you can pay someone on a rookie contract and save a ton of money and spend more money on what? An offensive line, some edge rushers, different things. So the question is, again, how are they going to want to take this money? How are they going to use it? How are they going to want to use it? So we will see what happens with that moving forward. It will be interesting to see. But again, what's your thoughts? T. Higgins, yay or nay? Comment below. Last but not least, just jumping into a mock draft. As the Shrine Game, the Senior Bowl, all these different bowls have finished, a lot of times you're looking at players in those games that are not necessarily always number one, number two picks, or first round or second round picks, but usually some of the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round picks, kind of trying to position, hopefully getting a higher pick. But when it comes to it, this is interesting because it shows Tennessee Titans, instead of taking a quarterback, they would get Abdul Carter, which he has been pegged as a generational talent by many. And then as well, the Browns taking an interesting move in getting Travis Hunter. It's going to be interesting to see, again, what they end up doing at quarterback next year, as well as the Tennessee Titans, what they're going to do. But based on this, not worth taking Cam Brown. They would rather take someone like Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. Again, the more I read about Abdul Carter, and again, I've watched him play more than once this year for Penn State. He is a guy I would be very surprised if he dropped to the New England Patriots. Giants, we know they need a quarterback. Again, quarterback they need. And this is not a quarterback deep class. Cam Ward, though, would be taken by the Giants here. And then something we talked about the other day, Mason Graham being picked up by the Patriots. Younger guy, only being a junior, would be a great pickup, I think. He has been skyrocketing up the charts. He was in the top 10, and now I feel like he's crawling his way up in a lot of different mock drafts. So again, I'm going to ask you, what's your thoughts on Mason Graham? Again, if you keep scrolling down, there's Shedeur Sanders to the Jets. I think that would be an awesome win for the Patriots. I do not think Shedeur Sanders will do well in the NFL. Again, could be proven wrong. Ashton Genty, I think he, in my opinion, this might trigger some people if you're a college football guy. I think he is the true Heisman winner. I think he should have won that. Hands down, a generational quarterback or running back if you watched him play. Again, I understand Travis Hunter playing so versatile, playing two positions. I get that and I respect that. But again, even though he won the Biletnikoff, which is the best wide receiver in the country, I don't think he was the best wide receiver in the country, nor do I think he was the best cornerback in the country. But again, yes, very versatile. I think Dion advocating for him was huge, and that's part of it. And also Genty being from Boise State, just such a small market. But that being said, we get down to McMillan is all the way down to 9th. And then Will Campbell, another person that, and I know I have some friends who are Bears fans who have talked about they want to see Will Campbell drop. That's their ideal pick for the Bears. So again, who knows? This is all a lot of speculation. And then Kelvin Banks, that's another guy we talked about, dropping into the teens. And so you can be speculative all you want. But when it comes down to it, we are not truly going to know until the draft really comes. Now, I'm looking for one more guy if I see him on here, and so far I do not. Oh, there he is. Pierce right here at number 29 to the Commanders. He is a guy I am big on. He is from Tennessee. He's an edge rusher. If you've watched any of my shows, if you watch all my shows, you've heard me talk about him at least once, if not multiple times. He originally was the first overall pick on a lot of mock drafts, especially when some of those drafts were projecting the Titans to be the first round pick or the first pick. Now, he's had some issues at Tennessee and when it comes to his conduct, but when it comes down to it, I think he would be a great pickup by the New England Patriots if he would drop even more. But then the question is, will he drop any more? Who the heck knows? But yeah, that being said, you're like, Aaron, how the heck did you have 15, 16 minutes worth of stuff to talk about? Guys, I like to talk. I like to talk football, Patriots football. It's fun. That being said, on your way out, if you're still watching, because I know you are, hopefully, hit that subscribe button on the way out. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.